Hi, if you're a homeowner in the Akron, Ohio area and you're thinking about getting rid of an old shed, you're probably asking yourself two questions right now. One, how much is this going to cost me? And two, is this even a project I should attempt myself? Hi, I'm Chris with Ohio Junk Force, and in this video I'm going to walk you through what shed removal costs are for 2026, what actually goes into the job, and why this is one of those projects that's easier than it looks. On the surface, tearing down an old shed seems pretty straightforward, but when homeowners start, they often find out that it's more complicated and it's more dangerous than they ever expected. Old sheds are often unstable. They're made of rotting wood or a failing roof. They can fall down in unexpected directions. It could damage a home, it could damage a fence, or it could even hurt you. Then there's all the nails. There's hundreds of nails sticking up out of the boards when you tear it apart, and you can step on them. Our guys wear steel-toed shoes with a special Kevlar insole, so if they step on a nail, they're safe. But for a homeowner, this could be disastrous. And then lastly, um, you're going to be left with a whole bunch of debris. You're going to be left with heavy, awkward lumber. You're going to be left with shingles and maybe some concrete blocks. How do you get rid of that? You can't put that in the normal trash. So if you do want to dispose of it yourself, most people don't factor in the landfill fees or dumpster rental or the time involved in being able to get rid of everything. Putting it in a truck and taking it to the landfill takes time. Plus, there's a minimum charge every time you go there. A small shed could cost over a couple $100, even if you transport it yourself to the landfill. Plus, then there's always critters. There's always critters in an old shed. We've found skunks, mice, raccoons, and a possum. One time when we did find the skunk found one of our employees. It wasn't funny at the time, but it certainly is funny looking back at it. So, between the heavy lifting, all the labor, the danger, the disposal, maybe this is something that you shouldn't do yourself. Okay, let's talk numbers. How much does it cost to remove a shed? We removed hundreds of sheds, so we have a good idea what the cost is in 2026. A small 8 by 8 shed, which is really a pretty standard shed, costs around $800. A little bit larger, an 8 by 10 or a 10 by 10. A 10 by 10 shed costs around $1,100. A big shed, like a 12 by 16 shed, that costs around $1,900. It's getting pretty big now. It's like almost like a one-car garage, which we do. A one-car garage detached we can remove for about $2,100. And then we can even do two-car detached garages. They're typically like 20 by 22 feet, and we can remove that for around $3,000. So that includes tearing it down, taking it all away, cleaning up after we're all done. So there's your prices for 2026. So what affects the cost of shed removal? Well, obviously, the larger the shed, the more materials and the more labor that's involved. Is the shed made of wood with shingles on top of it, or is it made with metal? Metal can often be less money than a wood shed, but not always. And then access to the shed is a big deal. Is the shed right next to the driveway? Can we get right to it, or can any junk removal company get right next to it? Or is it way back in the back of the yard and everything has to be torn down and then carried a long ways to make it to the truck for disposal? And then the last thing is the foundation. Most sheds are made with a wood foundation and maybe they're on cinder blocks, and those are easier to remove. But if the shed is sitting on top of a concrete slab and you want the concrete slab removed, that can add quite a bit to the cost of shed removal. In many of those cases, the customer leaves the concrete pad because it's still useful, especially if they're going to put up another shed. But those are some of the factors that affect the cost of shed removal. So why are professionals worth it? Most homeowners who start the project themselves often call us halfway through the project. Professionals know how to control the demolition, how to work safely, and how to finish within hours and not weekends. We bring the right tools, the right manpower, the right disposal plan, and we leave your yard looking, well, clean and nice and ready for your next project. Well, if you decide to go the professional route, you have many options. Hopefully, you'll consider Ohio Junk Force. We've been removing sheds and small structures across Ohio since 2010. We've removed hundreds of them. Every job is backed by our amazing service guarantee. We promise we'll be friendly, professional, and dependable, or it's free. That means we show up when we say we'll show up, we do the job safely, and we stand behind our work. So if you have that old shed that's become a safety concern or an eyesore, we're happy to help. You can even find out what the cost might be exactly for you on our website, www.ohiojunkforce.com. We have online price estimators that'll ask you a series of questions and spit out a good estimate for you in under 60 seconds. So whatever you decide, I wish you a lot of luck on your project, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.